Hey everyone, and welcome to Earlville Library District's virtual crochet. Today we're here to work on textured square number 9. We're getting very close to finishing our blanket. So that's the square we're going to be working on today. If you don't have this pattern already, you can stop by the library. We have some printed out that you can take home, or you can check for the link in the description box and print your own copy out at home. Make sure to check out all the other videos we've posted on YouTube about this project, the Checkerboard Textures Crochet Throw by Yarnspirations. Catch up and get ready for square number 9. Just a reminder, this group is meeting in person at the library right now. We are meeting on the second and last Wednesdays of each month. There's a poster in the library with the schedule if you're interested. Check Facebook, follow us there, Instagram, all those things to keep updated at when we're going to meet. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you'll be aware of all the fun things that we're posting, whether it's crafts or podcasts or these crochet videos. Always fun things to check out on our YouTube channel. Alright, we are looking at square number 9. This is mine here. You can see it's already attached to my blanket, so you'll get a closer look at that in a couple weeks when we go to put the whole thing together. But for now, here's what square number 9 looks like. You can see that it's a really interesting shell pattern. We have some shells and some front post double crochets. You'll also get to experience the back post double crochets if we haven't already done that. I think we might have when we did that waffle one. But lots of texture, as in keeping with the theme of this textured blanket. The instructions for the shell portion of this stitch are located at the very front of your pattern if you're noticing that they're missing from the actual squares instructions. So check those out, and I've got a couple examples for you, one that I have finished so that we can do the border right away, and one that I'm going to start from scratch with you. So grab your hook and let's do our square number 9. To begin, you're going to want to grab that hook that is one size smaller than the hook you have been using or were using on the granny squares. In my case, that makes this an H, but use whatever size works for your project. Start with a slip knot. You can find more detailed instructions about how to make a slip knot in some of our beginning squares for this project. And insert your hook, snug it up, and we are going to, according to the directions, chain 36 loosely. Just like we did before, we're chaining loosely so that we can work a border row into this afterwards. So chain 36. You're going to yarn over and pull that yarn through the loop on your hook for 1, and again for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on until you get to 36. For our first row, we're going to be working in the back loops only, and we're going to put 1 single crochet in the second chain from the hook and in each chain to the end of chain, and we're going to turn. Okay, so basically we're doing a row of single crochets all in the back loop only. So what you're going to want to look for is skipping this first chain because it says in the second chain from hook. We're going to go in here, and this has been common through a lot of our other squares as well. We are going to insert our hook just into this top loop here, and yarn over back through the loop, yarn over through the 2 loops on your hook. So when you go to your next stitch, you'll see you're going into that back loop only instead of going into the both loops like maybe you would on a normal foundation row. So that back loop only, yarn over back through the stitch, and yarn over through the 2 loops on your hook. And you're going to continue making single crochets on down the line until you get to the end. Here's my last chain, and I'm going to go just through that back loop there, yarn over back through the stitch, yarn over through the 2 loops on my hook. Now you should have 35 single crochets, and you can count by turning your work sideways like this, and you can see all those sideways V's there. You want to count each of those, 1, 2, 3, and make sure that you have 35. Alright, once you've counted your 35 stitches, we're ready to go on to row 2. For this row, we are going to chain 3 and put 1 double crochet in each of next 2 stitches. So let's start there. Chaining 3, 1, 2, 3. And we're going to turn our work and go the other way. And we're going to put 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So we're going to skip this stitch here that's connected to our turning chain, and our first double crochet is going to go next door. So for that, we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into both loops of the stitch now, because there's no specification that we shouldn't. Yarn over back through the stitch, and yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. We have 1 double crochet next to our turning chain. Then we're going to yarn over and do the same thing in the stitch next door. Insert our hook into both loops like normal, yarn over back through the stitch, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. Okay, we're ready for the next part of the directions, which are to skip 2 stitches and put a shell in the next stitch. The shell is defined at the very beginning of this pattern along with all the other special stitches. So it says a shell is 2 double crochets, a chain 2, and 2 more double crochets. So in order to do that, we're going to follow these directions and skip the next 2 stitches. So we're going to skip this stitch and this stitch. And in this stitch, we're going to put all of those stitches we just talked about. 2 double crochets, yarn over, insert your hook into both loops there, and get some more yarn. Yarn over back through the stitch, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, and we're going to put another double crochet right in that same space we just worked in. Yarn over through the stitch, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. We're going to do our 2 chains, chain 1, chain 2, and 2 more double crochets. Yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over back through the stitch, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, and 1 more time in that very same spot. We got a lot going on in this one spot here. And that's your shell. It makes kind of a fan looking shape there. Our next direction says to skip the next 2 stitches, and then we're going to put 1 double crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So skipping 2 stitches here, we're going to skip this stitch and this stitch, and we'll go in here to put 1 double crochet in there, and next door we'll put another one, and next door again we'll put our 3rd. Now we have what looks like 3 double crochets, although one of these is our turning chain. Then we have our shell, and we have our next 3 double crochets. And you can see we are skipping stitches on either side of the shell, and that is to give this bundle of stitches some room. If we were to put stitches right next door, it would really bunch up because there would be more stitches than the space allows for. So that's what the skipping is for. Just remember, we're going to skip on either side of the shell. So this is where our pattern starts to repeat, and we are going to skip the next 2 stitches, skipping here and here. And it's time for a shell because we just did our double crochets. So we're going to put 2 double crochets in this spot, 1 double crochet and 2 double crochets, a chain 2, 1, 2, and 2 more double crochets, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet. And remember, all of those stitches happened in the same single crochet from the row below. They're all in the same spot. Now we can skip 2 more stitches, skipping here and here. We're going to put 3 double crochets down the line. 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, these are all in individual stitches, 3 double crochet. So again, we have another shell and flanked by some double crochet stitches. Alright, we've done our double crochets, we're ready for another shell. So we're going to skip 2 stitches, and in here we're going to put all of those stitches together. 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 more double crochets. And keep going like that until you get to the end of the row. That should give you 4 shells and 15 of these double crochets. So remember, you're gonna skip 2 stitches, do a shell, skip 2 stitches, do 3 double crochets, skip 2 stitches, do a shell, skip 2 stitches, do 3 double crochets, and I'll see you at the end. Here we are at the very end of the work, so I've just finished a shell and I have enough room for 3 more double crochets. So I'm going to skip 2 stitches and then I should have just enough room left for 3 double crochets. 1 here, 1 in the next stitch, and another in the very last stitch here. And that gives us row 2. Now we're ready for row 3. For this row, we are going to chain 3, and we're going to start working with some front post double crochets. So we'll chain 3 here, 1, 2, 3, turn our work, and we're ready to work with our front post stitches. We are going to put 1 double crochet front post, I always read that wrong, 1 front post double crochet around each of the next 2 stitches. So once again, we're talking about this row down here. We're going to be working around these posts, the tall portions of our stitches. So we're going to ignore this first one because it belongs to its pal, the turning chain up here. And we're going to focus on this post of this stitch here. So we're going to yarn over and we're going to insert our hook to the right of the stitch in between these 2 stitches where there's a little hole. We're going to slide our hook back there. We're not actually putting it inside any stitches, just next to. We're going to come around behind that stitch and we're going to poke it back out the front to the left of that post. Then you can yarn over, draw your yarn back through and around that stitch, yarn over through 2 loops on your hook, yarn over through 2. So now you've made a double crochet, but instead of going into the top of the stitch, you went around the post, and that raises it up a little bit, if you can see there. Now we're ready to put 1 in the double crochet next door. So yarn over and repeat that process. We're going to insert our hook to the right of the post we're talking about, right in that empty spot there, around the back and out the left side. Then we can yarn over and draw our yarn back around that stitch, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. Now we're ready for the next set of instructions, which is we're going to put a shell in the chain 2 space of the next shell. So here's our shell, and we're going to put another shell all in this opening we created with the chain 2. So our shell starts with 2 double crochets, so yarn over, insert your hook into the space. Once again, we're not going into any of the stitches, in particular just this open gap here. Yarn over back through that gap, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. Once again for another double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook into that same gap, yarn over back through, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. We're ready for 2 chains, 1, 2, and 2 more double crochets, all in the same space. Insert your hook, yarn over back through, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, yarn over into the gap, yarn over back through, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. So now we have a shell stacked on top of a shell. Our next directions say to skip the remaining stitches of the shell. That means we're not going to do anything with these other 2 double crochets that are part of this shell from the row below. And we're going to put 1 front post double crochet around each of the next 3 stitches. So just like over here, we're going to put front post double crochets, except we have 3 double crochets to work with this time. So yarn over, and we're going to skip over the remaining shell stitches, and we're going to hop over here. We have a nice gap to insert our hook to the right of our post, around back and out the left side in that gap. Yarn over back and around, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2 for our first stitch. Then we can yarn over and find the stitch next door. Insert to the right of the post in the gap, around back out the left side, yarn over back behind, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. And one final time for the last of the 3 stitches. Yarn over, insert your hook into the gap to the right, around back out the left side, yarn over back through, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. So you have 3 double crochet front post stitches stacked on top of the 3 double crochets from the row below. And they end up a little bit raised. You get that texture. This is the texture crochet through. And now we're ready for another shell. So that means we are going to skip over these 2 double crochets and start working right in this chain 2 space from the shell. So we're ready for another shell, which is 2 double crochets. So I'm going to start there, put 2 double crochets in that chain space, that gap, and chain 2, and put 2 more double crochets in that same gap. Everything lands in the same spot here. So now I have another shell on top of my other shell. Now I'm ready to do my front post double crochets again, so I'm going to skip over these double crochets and start working in my set of 3 here. Yarn over, front post double crochet around the first one, and front post double crochet around the next one, and front post double crochet around the third one. Then we're ready for another shell in the gap and front post double crochets in the 3 stitches here. Another shell, and we're actually going to end with 2 front post stitches here, but I'll come back to you here. You finish up these. I'm at the end of my row, so I'm ready to do 2 front post double crochets in these first 2 double crochets. So I'm going around back of the post there for my first double crochet and a second double crochet, and we don't use this turning chain here at the end to do a front post stitch on. We're just going to put a regular double crochet in the top of this turning chain here. So yarn over, find that top chain, insert your hook, yarn over back through, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, and that'll finish off your edge there. You can see those raised double crochet front post stitches there. Alright, so that should give you 4 shells and 13 front post double crochets and 2 double crochets, 1 on each side. Now we're ready for row number 4. Row number 4 and 5 are the rows we are going to repeat for almost all of the rest of this pattern. For row number 4, we will chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're ready to turn our work. Now we're going to get going in the other direction, and we're going to put 1 back post double crochet around each of the next 2 post stitches. So now you can see that this third row we made here looks pretty short compared to the first row that we made down here with a regular double crochet. These are a little bit short. That's because so much of the space is taken up by going around the post instead of in the top of the stitch. So they end up being a little shorter, but you get that fun texture as a result. So we're going to basically do the same stitch, but from the other side. So you're going to yarn over, and we're going to do a back post double crochet this time. So now, if we look back at the other side of our work, we can see our front post stitch there, right there. So we yarn over, and we're actually going to insert the hook from back to front, right next door to that post, where that, if you can see that, right there, like we would on the other side. So we're going to come out here, and then we're going to send our hook in front of and out the other side. So you can see we have that post wrapped around our hook there. So from the front it looks like this. We can just see our hook. It's got the post of the double crochet on the back, and we're going to yarn over and bring our yarn through all of that mess, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. Now we have a back post double crochet that when we're on the other side will look like a front post double crochet. It's going to carry this raised double crochet all the way up the work. So we're going to do that again. Yarn over, and I'll do it from the front this time. We're going to come in under to the right of our next post, our little baby post that's right here, and we're going to come up, do that again. We're going to come up next door to the post, and then we're going to dive back in the gap next door behind, yarn over, draw our yarn through that stitch, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, and we have our back post double crochets stacked up there. Now it's something familiar. We can put a shell in this gap from the shell we made from the row below. We're going to yarn over and do 2 double crochets, 1, 2, 2 chains, chain 1, chain 2, and 2 more double crochets in that same gap, 1, 2. Now we're ready to start our repeating pattern where we're going to do 3 back post double crochets and a shell, 3 back post double crochets and a shell until we get to the end. And at the end here is where we will do just 2 back post double crochets and a regular double crochet in the turning chain. So, more back post double crochets. We are going to yarn over. I'll show you front ways again. And we're going to insert our hook, find our post is here. We're skipping the rest of the shell. So our post is here, and we're going to come up from behind, next door to the right of, and dive over on top of and backwards to the left of. Yarn over, draw your yarn back through all of that. Yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. Again, yarn over, find your next post, and dive your hook in towards the front, over top of and behind the next stitch, yarn over back through, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. And one more time, so I'll show you this way again. Find your next post stitch here, and you're gonna yarn over. We're on the back of the work now, and we're gonna dive next to, behind, and out the side. Bring your yarn back through, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. So now we have a stack of those raised double crochets all on top of each other. This is the side we're working on though. Alright, that's what you're gonna do. Another shell, some more back post double crochets, another shell, back posts, and I'll see you at the end. Here we are at the end of our work. We've made our last shell, and this time we're only going to put 2 back post double crochets in the next stitches and 1 regular one in the end of our turning chain. So we're going to yarn over and come up from the front, behind here, up and over top of and out the back. Yarn over back through, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. Same thing on the next post. Wiggle them in there, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, and 1 double crochet in the very top of our turning chain here. And that completes our row number 4. Now we're ready for row 5. For row number 5, we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're ready to turn. And now we're going to put our front post double crochets in our next stitches. So this row is going to be a lot like this row we did back down here. So we're going to yarn over, and from the front of our work we're going to go from front to back, around and behind, just like we did 2 rows ago. And we're going to make 2 of those around each of the next 2 post stitches. So we have 1 turning chain and 2 post stitches. We're ready for a shell. So we're going to put 2 double crochets in that shell gap, chain 2, and put 2 more double crochets in that shell gap. Then we're ready for 3 more front post double crochets. Yarn over, insert your hook next to and around that post of the next stitch, and do your double crochet, and do the same thing with the next double crochet and the next double crochet. And that's how you'll continue. You'll have a shell in the top of this shell here, front post double crochets, 3 of them, and shell, 3 front posts, and a shell. So you can see that the texture of those raised double crochets is building on top of each other here. You hopefully can start to see a pattern that'll help guide you to the rest of this project, and I'll see you when we are over here. Here we are at the end of the row, and we have enough space to put 2 front post double crochets and 1 regular one in the end of the turning chain. So here's a 1 regular front post double crochet, a 2nd regular front post double crochet, and a double crochet in the top of our turning chain here. And that's the end of row 5. So it's these 2 rows that you're going to repeat for the rest of your project almost. So you're going to go back now and read the instructions for row 4, and then you'll do row 5 again, and then you'll do row 4. But basically what you're going to encounter is that when you're on the back of your work, you're gonna put back post double crochets in all the spots where you have regular double crochets and shells in all the shell gaps. And when you're on the front of your work, you're gonna put front post double crochets in all of the spots where you have front post double crochets and shells in all of your shell gaps. And you're gonna alternate whether you're doing a back post double crochet or a front post double crochet, judging by whether you're on the front or the back. All right, you've got like 18 more rows to do, and then row 24 is different. So I'm going to demonstrate row 24, and we're going to pretend that I have done all of the rest of my rows. My other example is in dark brown yarn that I don't think is going to go well on the camera. So we'll pretend that I am ready for row 24, and this is how that's going to work. The purpose of this row is to straighten out these hills and valleys. This won't make a nice straight edge when we go to join our blocks together. So in order to straighten it out, we're gonna put taller stitches in the valleys here and smaller stitches in the hills so that it'll all end up evening out. So the directions say to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. We're gonna turn our work, and we're going to put, so you'll know if you've done everything correctly because row 24 should be worked on the back. We're going to do back post stitches. So that's a good guide to know if you've counted correctly. So we've got our chain 3, and we're going to put 1 back post double crochet around each of the next 2 post stitches. This is familiar. This is what we've been doing. Yarn over and find your first post stitch there and put your double crochet around it, and find your second post stitch here and put your double crochet around it. Whoops. We all make mistakes here. Get in there. So we've got our 2 back post stitches here. And then we're going to put 1 double crochet in the next stitch, which is, we're actually working in the shell now. We weren't for a while. So we're going to yarn over and insert our hook into that stitch, yarn over back through, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. And now we're going to shrink our stitch as we get closer to the hill, and we're going to do a half double crochet. So yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over back through, but this time we're going to yarn over and go through all 3 loops on our hook. That's a half double. And now we're going to put 1 single crochet in the gap or the chain 2 space of our shell. So no yarn over, go right ahead and insert your hook, yarn over back through, yarn over through 2. So now we are sort of filling in the gap here, and you can see it's all starting to straighten out. So let's increase our stitch size as we go down here. So now we're going to put a half double in the next stitch, working in the shell again, even though we haven't been until now. Yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over back through, yarn over through all 3. And now we're going to do a double crochet in the last part of the shell. Yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over back through, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. And we're ready for 3 back post double crochets in our back post stitches here. So yarn over and back post around the first post, back post around the second post, and back post around the third post. And now we're ready to repeat that pattern. We're going to put a regular double crochet in the first stitch of the shell, a half double crochet in the second stitch of the shell, and a single crochet in the chain 2 space. Graduate back up to a half double crochet in the next stitch, and a double crochet in the last stitch. And now we're ready for more back post stitches in these 3 here. And then we'll work that pattern of decreasing stitches up, increasing stitches down, back post stitches, and keep working that pattern until you get to the end. Here we are at the end, and we have room for 2 back post stitches and then 1 regular double crochet in the top of the turning chain. So I'll make my first back post stitch here and my second back post stitch and my regular double crochet in the top of the turning chain. And that is, oops, here, let me refinish that guy. And that is what your row 24 should look like. This is the back, remember? So if we flip it over, we can see all of our nice texture again, and you can see that we've really evened out all of those hills and valleys, so it'll be a much nicer join when we add it to the other squares of our pattern. Now it's time for the border. Here's the dark brown one that I told you about. I've tried to lighten it up here so that you can see the stitch definition a little better. This one is all finished and just needs a border. So I've already completed row 24 and evened out a lot of those hills and valleys. It looks a lot more like the foundation row that we started. And I'm ready to add the border. And we're gonna work with this corner where our yarn is right now. And our first instruction is to chain 1. So I shall chain 1. And then we're going to do our signature corner with 1 single crochet, a chain 3, and a single crochet, all in the same space. So we're going to find that stitch that we ended our work with, and we're going to insert our hook, yarn over back through, yarn over through 2 for our single crochet, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and put another single crochet in that same space. Insert your hook, yarn over back through, yarn over through 2. Now we have our familiar corner loopy for all of the other squares we've done so far. This is the part that's going to unite it and make it easy to join together. So now we're going to put 1 single crochet in each stitch until we get to the last one where we're going to put another corner. So we'll just start moseying along and putting a single crochet in the next stitch and the next one and the next one until we get to 1 from the end. Alright, and 1 from the end here. The only place I have left to go is in the top of the turning chain here. So that's where I'm going to put my corner. I am going to insert my hook into the top of that turning chain, yarn over back through, yarn over through 2 for a single crochet, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and put another single crochet in that same spot right there for our next corner loopy. And we're rotating our work, and we're ready to work on the side where we have to add all the stitch markers to make everything make sense. Just kidding, no stitch markers this time. The pattern writer says we're gonna skip row 24, which is the row right before we ended down here where we were evening everything out. So we're gonna put a single crochet in the top and around 1 double crochet, and then we're just gonna put a single crochet around the post for the next row. So we're gonna do kind of a double thing and then a single thing. Okay, so if you pull your work, you can kind of see some of those double crochet stitches, those posts that peek out here at the edges. Like there's a post and there's a post, and I believe that's what is being referred to here. If we turn it over, we can see there's our double crochets, our raised stitches, and they are poking through right here. So we are going to 1 single crochet in top of and around post of double crochet. Okay, so we're gonna put 1 single crochet in the top of that double crochet at the end of the row, and 1 single crochet around its post. So we're going to, like a front post double crochet, we're going to insert our hook to the right from front to back, around back behind and out the side, yarn over back through, yarn over through 2. That gave us 2 single crochets, and now we're ready to put 1 single crochet around the post of the next double crochet. We're not going to go in the top of this one, we're just going to find him and do a single crochet around him. And we're going to move on. Now for this one, we are going to put 1 in top and around, and for the next one we're only going around. Next one we're going in the top and around, and the next one we're just going around. Keep working that pattern until you get to the end of the row. That brought me to 33 stitches. If I don't count the single crochet that belongs to the corner loopy, I come at 33. And now we're going to put our corner in again. So we're going to insert our hook into the very end stitch here, yarn over back through, yarn over through 2 for our first single crochet, chain 3, and another single crochet in that very same space. And we have corner loopy number 3. We're ready to rotate our work and work along the bottom now. We're going to put 1 single crochet in each chain until we get to the end. And it says you can work into both free loops. So we're going to find our first stitch here, yarn over back through, yarn over through 2, and here's our next stitch. These stitches are nice because they look a lot like real stitches, even though they are like the bottoms of chains. They're a lot easier to spot than the ends of rows. So keep crocheting along until you get to the end. So here I have 33 stitches and I am ready to put my last corner in. So I'm going to find my very last stitch here and I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over back through, yarn over through 2, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and single crochet in that very same space to give us our corner number 4. And we're ready to repeat the process that we used to make the other side border on this side. We're going to put a single crochet in top and around the first stitch and just around the second stitch, in top and around the next stitch, and just in top of the next stitch. Keep doing that. Rewind to watch this side if you need to, and I'll see you when we're over here. I finished my 33rd stitch of the second side border and I'm ready to join with a slip stitch in the first single crochet. So we're going to find the single crochet that is a part of the beginning of our first corner loopy. I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over back through that stitch and through the loop on my hook, drag the loop long, and we're ready to cut and fasten off. So grab your scissors, leave yourself a little bit of a tail, and give it a snip. And then I like to send that tail back through the loop from my work and pull, and there you go. We are done with another square as a part of this project. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying this project so far. We only have one more square to learn before we get to do the part where we put all the squares together, and then we'll have a few rounds that we need to spend on a border, but we are nearly there. I hope you guys are enjoying this project. Make sure to stop by in person if you'd like to, the second and last Wednesdays of each month where we are meeting in person. I will continue posting these videos so that you can crochet from home. And stay tuned for next month when we finally do square number 10. Make sure to send any pictures of what you're working on to our Earlville Library Crochet page on Facebook or our general library page on Facebook. And I will see you again next month. We are nearly done. Thanks for watching. Bye.